This is Your Mustang Story.
In this episode of Your Mustang Story, we wrap up our glowing discussion of Dave Linthicum's 69 Mach 1. It glows wherever it goes. But then we got into what it's like to be at your first national, and what's it like when you have a really cool Mustang out in public, and how do people react? It's on this episode of Your Mustang Story. Multi-car, multi-club show at the New Mexico State Fair, second largest in the United States. Big show, lots of cars, and I mean, they were hot rods, and there were cars of every make and model and configuration you can imagine. The state police put together a group of, it looked like 6 to 9 people that ran around, and they came by club and awarded awards to the best in each club. And I know you caught one of those. Right. But what I wanted to point out was that after these gentlemen, I mean, who sees more cars of more variety than a state trooper? After they went and saw the whole show, all these cars, all these different clubs, they came back and gave you best of show of everything. Yeah. And if you've missed it so far, go to the YouTube channel and check this car out, because
it was special.
It was.
But I'll tell you, one of the special things, and again, this club is fantastic. It's the reason I got into this club.
MCA, baby.
MCA, that's right. And then not just MCA, the Rio Grande Mustang Club. They truly love cars. They like the camaraderie, the networking that goes on. They're very good at it. They're very genuine. And they try to make everybody feel at home, and that's why I got into the club. And this was when we did the MCA show this year in May at the Balloon Fiesta Park. That was something to behold.
The MCA National in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that was really a lot of work and joy to be a part of. You were definitely a hard-working dude at that show, by the way. But I think one of the coolest tricks to come along in MCA chapters is seeing memberships reach out to new owners, trying to be inclusive. One of our female members just took, I think, a 3rd place at the drag strip.
Sarah Pennington?
Yeah. She's good. I'm hoping to talk her into the show, coming on the show.
Yeah,
Sarah,
great photographer, by the way.
Yeah, she's a fantastic photographer. She works on our website. She's a key person in our
and the club. Family affair too. Yeah. Mom, dad, Mustang owners, big time judges, board members.
Fred Pennington's story is on episode 3 or 4. Yeah. So if you want, look for Fred Pennington's name in the episode. I can't remember which episode it is, but yeah, his story is very interesting. How he went from a GM fella to a Ford judge.
Yeah. But and that MCA show was fantastic. It was something that I was really looking forward to. It's one of those things, if you've never done one, folks, I'm telling you, this is from a guy that never done one. The people in our club are so knowledgeable with this stuff. You know, Eric and Linda Shirley, the president, vice president, show director, all the board members, yourself.
We're going to try and get Eric Shirley on the board of directors.
They work so hard all the time, and they're true Mustang people. Travel all over the country, take their Mustangs to shows.
It's amazing how many folks do travel the country, and God bless them. Yes. Every one of them that I met during this show and interviewed, we're having more and more out-of-state interviews. Talk to people from the East Coast, up and down the East Coast, Seattle, Oklahoma City, all over this country, and that love, that passion, that fever is still there, and it's stronger than ever, in my opinion. I've only been in for 10 years, but it's just growing. It's a matter of Ford putting out a good product, the community gathering around it, and being involved. I mean, you really put your shoulder to the wheel when we did the national. We're coming back next year with a regional, so let's invite the whole nation.
Right,
hey, come on out to Albuquerque next May and enjoy a cool regional show.
It's great. A great show. The MCA was a great show. And again, that was a show that many of us, and I've heard this from other club members, and not just ours, club members from the El Paso Club, club members from Mustang clubs in Colorado. We talked to a lot of folks at that MCA show, and I wasn't the only one that worked. There were a lot of people working hard at that show. The Shirleys, the Penningtons, and you yourself. I mean,
the MCA people from National, the judges, the MCA National staff that comes, those volunteers volunteers that travel so far out of pocket come and be and run this giant show. Really, that's why we are such MCA fans on this podcast.
Absolutely. And you know what? The effort and all the hard work and stuff really came to fruition. What a fantastic show to meet the people, to see all those beautiful cars and all the hard work.
Oh, I thought it
people put in. I mean, not just putting them together, but keeping them clean and getting them here, and the judging. Let me tell you what, I wanted my car so badly to be judged by an MCA judge, and of course we have MCA certified judges in our club.
Right.
And they give everybody all kinds of tips, always willing to help. When those judges came through and judged your car, and they come back and tell you what you won, and if you got what you were looking for in that gold or silver or bronze, whatever it is, they're judging your car about your car. You aren't being judged against other Mustangs. You're being judged on the product that's sitting there for those judges, and it was fantastic to get that. But I will tell you this, after the show, and we were tired, everybody was tired, after the show, you can get a copy of your judging sheet. You just have to request it. And let me tell you what, I was expecting, I'll get it in a couple weeks or whatever. I requested it in one day. It was sent back to me by MCA. It's a great organization. Those people know what they're doing.
Yes,
and talk about dedicated folks. But I got that judging sheet back, the next day. And after I read it and looked at it, and let me tell you what, it made my whole year.
Sure.
It made everything worthwhile.
Well, you've put the time in, and you deserve the reward.
Well, and you know what? Just reading their comments and stuff, and again, and I've talked to some of the club members, and we all talked. Everybody, bunch of us that were judged, we were like comparing those judging sheets because we wanted to know. Everybody wants to know how to improve. Do better. That's right. And can we do better?
And that's the purpose of the judges is to help you improve your car. Right. They're not there to tear you down.
No,
they're
they were
there to help you
very professional.
Build your car.
When the ones that dealt with me, and I saw a lot of cars get judged working there, and they were so professional, and they took so much care in how they spoke to people. When they touched cars, they had microfiber cloths and things like that. They were very careful with the cars, so knowledgeable. When you look at that judging sheet, and especially if it goes the way you want it to go, but even if it didn't, it provides you with so much. But
point you in the right direction.
That's right. And again, and I don't want to brag or anything but I'm going to tell you, when I got that sheet back and it had 0 deductions on that sheet, it made my whole millennium, I guess.
Well, looking at the car, it's like, how do you pick that?
I didn't expect that. I expected a few little things that I know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what are you going to do next with the car? Are you going to go, do you have any cruises? Do you have any vacations? Any destinations you really want to go with it? Do you have any plans for it in the future?
Well, it's not a trailer queen. I built it to drive it, and I drive it. Now, it's not a daily driver by any shape, form, of the imagination. Driving it from here to Albuquerque and back in the summer, even with air conditioning stuff, you're talking about, it's got a new suspension under it, but it's old technology. Mm-hmm. It's got all new rubbers and all new parts in it and ball joints and all those kind of good things, and new rubber and brakes and all that kind of stuff.
There's no horizontal body motion control or satellite directed suspension travel.
And again, I laugh about it because, it'll make you tired. You get used to driving something with today's technology, and go jump in one of those. And whether it's fun, it's got a 4-speed in it, and it runs good, and all that kind of stuff, but it drives like a car that's 50 plus years old.
So it's therapy.
Oh, in many regards, yeah. So
I think we all find that our Mustangs are therapy. So
right.
Your Mustang Story returns after this.
All right, friends, today's encounter group will be devoted to Charles Smith.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I just can't identify with Charlie.
I know what it is. Charles is a creep.
Marianne, you're overreacting. You see, what you mean is that Charles has little or no ego strut.
Oh, I've seen broccoli with more personality.
Exactly.
Personality vacuum.
Perhaps he needs something to crystallize his identity. a real drive to find himself.
Charles lacks aggression.
An object, perhaps. Something that will give him an inner source of power, an inner richness.
Well, I think he's got the makings of a wonderful human being.
Mustang announces the new 1971 Charlie Smith. Proud new profile, quiet sense of power.
Personally speaking, today has been a very valuable encounter for you, Charlie.
Mustang, it's a personal thing.
Now, more of Your Mustang Story.
You know, it's one of those cars where I do a lot of local stuff, run into Albuquerque, go to Sonic, go to Dairy Queen, go grab a burger, those types of things with it, but I'm very careful with it.
You've built a lifestyle routine, which is perfect. It's the right thing to do with the car, as a matter of fact. So now you can go to your hangouts, you go to your local shows, you go to your regional shows, and you have this community. So it's just one of the best parts about being part of the Mustang family.
Absolutely. And the club is so supportive of it. And again, it's like, you know, even you in our little club Facebook page, you know, I was laughing when I read, Bob, you know, you put that article in there about the state fair thing. We always are trying to get more cars to participate within our club. You know, life comes into play. We're always trying to pump up the club and get that participation. When you start going to shows and things like that, there are guys that have way nicer cars than I have. Beautiful cars. I mean, just I see them roll in, and it's
Hi,
like,
Jim Guthrie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm toast on this one. You know, I'll keep it dusted off, and I may pick up something. But people come by, and I'll be honest with you, I have had so many veterans come up and talk about this car.
Yeah, coming home
from Vietnam,
Sure.
Korea, wherever they were, and even their family members coming home and saying, hey, my brother had a car like this, we had a car like this, I saw it in magazines, I got home and I bought a Shelby, or I bought a 71 or 69, whatever it was. The stories this car brings out in those people, it's just amazing, and I love it.
Yeah.
I can sit there and listen to that kind of stuff all day long.
That's why we started this podcast. That's why we talked you into coming on to it.
Well, you know what, and it's just phenomenal, and you can see it in their eyes, you can hear it in their voice when they talk about this car. You know what it means to them to be able to see it, and remembers the good times. They remember the good times.
Yes.
And you know, some people didn't come home, and you know what they did for our country is just fantastic. We'll never be able to replace them, but we so much appreciate their sacrifice and the family's sacrifice. But to have them come in there and talk about it, and that's the kind of stuff that these cars bring in. And I'm going to say the Mustang for sure, this one, but that's what I've heard. I'm sure there are many others.
Well, this is a good point to promote the idea of, hey guys, you got your Mustang in the garage, you're building it right now, hurry up. There's a wide world out there that's dying to see it and talk to you about it, and it's going to help you, it's going to help them both. So get those Mustangs out of the garage, get them out on the road.
Please
stop and talk to people. Who knows, you might talk somebody over the wall from a certain bow tie into a Mustang.
And
so
that's exactly right. And you know, I had this car at a Veterans Day show, and it was supporting, I think it was Northern New Mexico Flight, that they get funds and money to send veterans to see the Vietnam Memorial and go to Washington and do those types of things. And I was at one of those shows with this car nonstop. The vets came by and talked about it, and it made me feel good and honored to be able to talk to them and to hear the stories.
Absolutely.
And again, I love it. I mean, I can sit there and listen to that all day long.
Part of my affection for the 69 Mach 1 was it was part of my recovery therapy after my pop passed in 68. One of my cousins took me to a Ford dealer to get me away from the funeral, the family crying and all that. And he says, look, kid, I was like 13, and you got to get away from this for a while. Let me take you someplace. And he took me to a Ford dealer, and there was a 69 white, red stripe, black interior, and to this day, the 69 Mach's got a warm spot in my heart because it gave me an hour of freedom from that deep pain of being in that situation. So it's impossible to guess how you will impact someone when you show up with your Mustang.
Right.
New, old.
Right.
You could show up with a new Mach 1. You could show up with an EcoBoost. You could show up with I got a great example of our two oldest members of the club, Mac and Susie. Yep. They show up in a 2006 V6 convertible, premium, of course. His life experience was very much of service, and they have really been the motor in the boat of this MCA chapter. So every Mustang has a story, and that's why we created this podcast, and I'm grateful that you came on the show today.
Well, no, I appreciate it. And
thanks for coming by.
no problem.
Really had a great time with Dave, and there's more to come. Your Mustang Story is just starting up, and we've got growing pains for sure. It comes with the turf. We're working to bring you more as time and funding allows. So if you know somebody who'd like to sponsor a show, let us know. And we'll see you next time on Your Mustang Story.
Your Mustang Story is a production of Spirited USA, LLC, all rights reserved. The views and opinions expressed on Your Mustang Story are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily represent Spirited USA or its sponsors. Send questions and comments to contact@yourmustangstory.com. Join us next time.